carry on. So next speaker that we have for the day is Vishnu, who will be speaking about the lesser known stories on the Indian mythology. So without wasting much time, I will hand it over to Vishnu. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dipesh.
Yeah, story
Let's
time.
Yeah, Vishnu.
yeah. I just thought let's have some fun by hearing some good story. I'm going to narrate just one story today, but I would like to iterate the fact that most of the history of the Indian mythology, most of the things that happened in the ancient India are either only known through the mythological viewpoint, like it's a myth, that kind of view, like it's not real, it's a myth, or the fact that those are lost knowledge. So I wish for more and more people to learn about these knowledge and share it, and which is why I'm trying to tell you about one story that most people don't know about. Even I discovered it by accident. So we all know that one of the most common, what do you say, slogans of India, one of the most prominent slogans of the freedom fighters, of the Indian Army, of the all the defense forces, everybody, we all follow one major slogan, one common slogan, which is Bharat Mata Ki Jai. This is very common, irrespective of religion, age, or gender, or caste. We all follow that slogan. कोई नारा लगाता है जब भारत माता की, तो अपने आप निकल जाता है जय. So I'll focus on that, and I'll tell you a story related to that. So Bharat Mata, the name Bharat in Hindi comes from the name Bharatam in Sanskrit. So the Sanskrit language, which is one of the few oldest languages of the Indian subcontinent, are is holding a lot of hidden treasure in form of its knowledge. So while reading one of the books, I found that Bharat came from Bharatam, and Bharatam came from Bharata, who is a disputed person. Bharata is a disputed person because for most people in India, there are three different Bharatas. The most famous Bharata, of course, is the younger brother of Lord Rama from Ayodhya. Some people consider that this Bharata is the reason why India is called Bharatam. Another Bharata is the son of King Dushyanta and Shakuntala. Their story is shown beautifully in the Mahabharatam and also in the play Abhijnana Shakuntalam by uh, legendary poet Kalidasa. So in Kalidasa's play Abhijnana Shakuntalam, it is said that Shakuntala's son Bharata was a small baby. He was a 5-year-old boy when he used to catch hold of lion cubs, open their mouth wide, and used to help them count their teeth. And he used to show it to the other people around him, like, look, I'm making them count their teeth. He used to say, Jrimbhasva, Jrimbhasva, Dantamste Ganeshyami. It's like, I will count their teeth and show it to you. So, due to his bravery, when he grew up, he conquered many lands. He was a very just ruler. And so, due to this, many people believe that he was also the reason why India is called Bharatam. Now, the third one is the most interesting one because he is the least known of these three, or at least recognized. So, this story also ties with Jain mythology. The first Tirthankara of the Jain religion is Rishabhadeva. It's considered that Rishabha's eldest son, Bharata, the reason behind India's name, Bharatam. And this is supported in the Vishnu Puranam. There's this verse in the Vishnu Puranam which says, Rishabho Merudevyascha Rishabhat Bharato Bhavet, Bharatat Bharatam Varsham, Bharatat Sumatistobhut. He says, Rishabha and Merudevi had a son called Bharata, and his land was called Bharatam. And then it is explained further, saying Uttaram yat samudrasya himadreshaiva dakshinam varsham tad bharatam na. What is to the north of the sea, to the south of the Himalaya, that land is called Bharatam. Now, what do we know about this Bharata? The thing that most people know is that he was a very famous ruler. He was a conqueror. He ruled a huge amount of lands. He was one of the strongest people in his era. That's the only thing people know. What I'm going to present to all of you here, to all this wonderful people, to this August gathering, is that we need to learn more about this Bharata. So what happened is, when Bharata grew old after ruling for many years, and in those times, the Varnashrama Dharma was a common thing to do. Varnashrama Dharma comes from 4 stages of life. So everybody starts as a brahmachari, a celibate, as a kid, grows up, he becomes a grihastha, one who takes care of the household, goes into vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means going into the forest for renunciation, and then sannyasa. Not everybody takes sannyasa. Some people take sannyasa to lead an ascetic life, to become a sannyasi, as we all know about these kind of people who wear the saffron clothes, generally have beads, they leave their life behind, they adopt a new name, and spend their rest of their lives in studies and teaching and sharing their knowledge with others. So Bharata went for Vanaprastha first, and he had the idea of taking sannyasa. But before he could do that, in the forest, he saw a small fawn, a small baby of a deer, which was alone because its mother had fallen into a river and died. So Bharata felt pity about the fawn, and he took it up. He took the animal to his ashram. He gave it shelter, gave it food, and started taking care of it. And slowly he started losing focus from his original goal. He started to focus on the animal's well-being, and eventually most of his time would be spent with the animal. And when he was much old and he was starting to die, he realized that he spent most of his time with the deer, and he was crying like, if I die, what will happen to the deer? He was very afraid of the well-being of that animal, and thinking about the animal, he passed away. So when he passed away, what happened is, because of all the power he had amassed with ascetic power, what do you say in Hindi, tapasya, due to all that tapasya, he had gathered so much power, he reincarnated with all the memories of his past life. And since he died thinking about the deer, he reincarnated as a deer himself. And he was very regretful. He felt very bad about it, and eventually killed himself. The deer, as the deer, Bharata killed himself, and then again was born as a human. But this time he was careful. He knew his mistake, and he was like, "Is बार तो मैं गलती नहीं करूँगा. I will be attached to someone only if I start to speaking." He didn't speak to anybody as a child. He didn't speak to anybody. He was born to a learned Brahmin's family, and just as any Orthodox family would, they tried to teach him a lot of rituals and about religion, about spirituality. They did the Upanayana Sanskar and all. They gave him the Yajnopavitam, the sacred thread that Brahmins and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas wear. And but what happened was, this child was so cautious and so careful about everything. He wouldn't speak with anybody, and everybody thought that he was mute. He had all the wisdom, yet he would not speak with anybody. What happened is, his brothers felt that this child Bharata is mentally retarded, and they started abusing him. They used to send him as caretaker of their land. They wouldn't give him food properly, and Bharata was also not very careful about having anything, eating anything properly. He was the kind of person who would just eat if somebody gave it to him. Otherwise, he would not care. He would sit somewhere for hours thinking about something. He'll, take care of everything around him. He'll help the animals around him, people around him. He won't speak to anybody. He'll just do his thing and be himself. So one day he was standing in one of his brother's land, taking care of the place, and a tribal chief's people came around there. The tribal chief was supposed to do a narahatya. He was supposed to sacrifice a human for a particular ritual at a nearby temple. And the person who was supposed to be sacrificed had known about the truth and ran away from there. So these people were trying to find out that man, and ended up seeing Bharata. Now Bharata was a well-built, good-looking guy, and his face radiated a kind of glow. So these people believed that this guy could be a perfect replacement, and they picked him up and took him to the chief. And the chief also agreed that, yeah, isko marunga to I'll get some benefit. So they took him to the temple, decided to sacrifice him, And Bharata knew that he was going to be sacrificed. He still didn't respond. He still wouldn't speak. Never in his life had he spoken. So he silently sat there when they applied sindoor on him, made him wear red clothes, and he just sat there silently. And he was looking at the idol of Kalima temple in the Sanctum Sanctorum. The huge, terrifying visage of the idol stood, and Bharata was staring at it with a small smile, "Ha, like yeah, I can see you," that kind of thing. And just before the chief could sacrifice him, the idol came to life. The deities came outside. Kalima came, her servants outside, killed the chief, killed all the chief's servants, and they started playing there, literally causing a devastating scene. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said this scene is explained as Shirah Kanduka Leelaya. Kanduka means ball. So it's like they were playing ball with the heads of the people that were cut off. So I could say that the first football match ever was played in India during the ancient times, and that too, in a bloody situation. And then the goddess asked Bharata, "What do you want?" And he wouldn't respond. He just sat there looking at her, smiling, enjoying her presence and all the presence of all her servants. And the goddess understood that he didn't really need anything. He had enlightenment. He knew who he was. And she realized that he wasn't going to be enticed by any uh, worldly pleasures or any mortal promises. So she blessed him that you will always be like this, like enlightened. And then she disappeared. So what Bharata did is he just got up from there and started walking again. And on the way, another king and his people saw him. Now this king was Rahugana. Rahugana was the king of Sindhu Sauvira, two provinces that were adjoining, two adjoining provinces, and Rahugana was going to meet Kapila Maharshi. Kapila Maharshi is the Acharya of yoga and Sankhya. Sankhya and yoga. Patanjali and Kapila are the acharyas of Sankhya and yoga. So Sankhya Yoga, the greatest of Sankhya philosophy, is written by Kapila. So Kapila was a known philosopher. He's considered as God by many people, and especially Vaishnavites consider him as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So Rahugana had heard about Kapila and wanted to listen to what the hermit had to offer. So Rahugana was being carried on a palanquin. He was a king, of course, and he was the strongest person, the most powerful person in that region. So what happened is one of the palanquin holders fell ill and he couldn't carry the palanquin. So these people were looking for a replacement. Once again, Bharata was picked because he was so well built and they believed he could carry the palanquin well. So when Rahugana was sitting in the palanquin and he was being carried by four people, the rest three would walk in a particular rhythm. And what Bharata would do is suddenly he'll stop. He'll be like, "Oh, I can see an ant here. I won't step on it." And then suddenly he'll be like, "Oh, I can see a mouse here. I can't step on it." He'll be very careful about injuring and not injuring and not harming any animal. And due to this, the rhythm of the walking was being broken. Now, when one person doesn't walk properly, obviously the person sitting in the palanquin will be very uncomfortable because it will be a rough ride. Just like how if one wheel of a vehicle gets stuck in mud or goes above a stray rock, we feel very uncomfortable since the ride becomes rough. King also, Rahugana also felt the same, and he started looking, who is this? And he didn't know who the new person was. So he started teasing him sarcastically, like, "Arey, ye to buda aadmi hai. He can't walk properly. How is he able to do all this work? Even his companions are not helping him." He was very sarcastic about it. And Bharata was smiling, still smiling. And then suddenly he stopped and he asked, "Are you telling me, this body, about being strong or weak, about being able to do all the job? If you are talking about my body, then it's not me. It doesn't concern me. We all are just souls bound to this body by nature. So you can't affect me by your words. And moreover, who made you a master and others your servants? This worldly life doesn't mean anything to me." So now Rahugana understood that this man is not ordinary, and immediately came down and came down from the palanquin and started speaking to Bharata personally. He said, tell me who you are. You don't speak like normal people. You speak like the enlightened seers of the past, the gurus. Who are you? Who taught you? Who is your guru? I wish to know more about what you're speaking. So now Bharata told who he was, and he said, I am not what you see. My name doesn't matter. My place of birth doesn't matter. What matters is what I know, is that we are all same. And he started teaching him, the Rahugana, the answers he needed to know. Whatever the king needed to know was cleared by Bharata. And then Rahugana abandoned his quest to go for Kapila. Since he got all the answers from Bharata himself, Rahugana himself left his kingdom for his son and went away into the forest. And Bharata, with the satisfaction that he had passed on the knowledge to somebody, walked into the forest and died a peaceful life. So while Bharata, the concept of Bharatam and Bharata is known, people still don't know about this story of Jadabharata. And similarly, there are so many other stories that people don't know. So I wish most of you will be reading. I wish most of you read more stories. Most of you start asking questions about our past so that we can reclaim these stories and share, and we can learn from those. And definitely we'll need to do a lot of introspection of why our society lost the ancient stories, especially the good ones that are present in our mythology. So this is just one story I had wanted to share. I didn't plan on more because of time constraints, but I hope this was not known to most people. And I'll hope we'll be able to read more, and of course I hope to share more with all of you. Thank you.
Hey Vishnu, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I might have missed that part, but why do we call it Bharat Mata Ki Jai and not like why do we add Mata there?
Okay, the idea of Bharat Mata came at a much later date, because Bharatam is a neutral gender word in Sanskrit, and Bharat Mata came during the independence period, because see, motherland is an idea that originated sometime in the medieval period. Um and we try to protect our land just like we try to protect our mother. Since the land is providing for us and protecting us and taking care of all our needs, the land is being compared to mother. Now this was taken up later during the Indian freedom struggle, and those people decided to create the slogan Bharat Mata Ki Jai, so that there will be a patriotic feeling in, like they can incite a patriotic feeling inside the common Indians, and they wanted a slogan that everybody can take up. That's why Bharat Mata Ki Jai became so popular.
Okay, I think because of the emotional connect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very nice story, Vishnu, I must say. I've never heard about it before this. So, any questions? Anyone else?
I demand more stories.
So we are not looking for demands, we're looking for questions.
Vishnu sir, I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, I have a request actually. My network actually dropped in between your stories, so I couldn't listen completely. So can you send me a link or share the story on our group so that we can read it?
Yeah, no problem. I'll write it down in a way that everybody
I
can
have one
read.
more question, that is there a website or a place where we can go and read our mythological stories that are not popular?
I think there are websites available, but what happens is most of these websites distort the story, or many of them have common stories there. Very few people, take the time and effort to bring in authentic stuff. What I personally do is I read multiple books, and my parents are also very interested in this kind of thing. So we discuss a lot at our home, and we try to find multiple books where we can like verify the details. Like for example, the story of Bharata I mentioned, the story where he reincarnates is told in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and his rule as India, as the ruler of India, and why Indian land got that name. Those verses are from the Vishnu Purana. So that corroborates the fact that there was a ruler, in fact. So that's what I do. I try to read multiple books and verify.
So if I want to read these things, these mythological stories, which book should I start with?
See, what you can do is, if you understand Sanskrit, then you can just pick up a book and read. If you do not, you can read translations. I would suggest Gita Press, and I would definitely suggest that you avoid ISKCON, because ISKCON people have a heavy bias, and I always hate when people bias about anything. So I suggest Gita Press, which is pretty unbiased. Gita Press has multiple translations of books like Vishnu Puranam and Srimad Bhagavatam. You should definitely read Srimad Bhagavatam if you want to read philosophical stories. And if you want to just understand the concept, I will just starting with the Vishnu Puranam. And you can also go for Bhavishya Puranam is an interesting thing, but it's a lot like predictive thing. It's not accurate. So Vishnu Puranam is something you should start with.
Thank you.